We continue our i24 news coverage right now with Dr. Elad Gil. He's the head of research for the Tכלית Institute. He's joining me now via Zoom. Elad, thanks so much for joining us. For those outside Israel who are watching this, they see the protests, they see what happened. They don't quite understand exactly how will they use this bill now that it's become law? How will it be used in everyday life?
Hi, Albert. Thank you for having me. It's a good question. We will not feel this change immediately. There will not be different government actions throughout the country and throughout every area of government action. The change will be creeping. It will come quietly. I think it will, at first stage, will corrupt or disrupt the Israeli civil service, and we will see less and less judicial oversight of crucial government action, and obviously more government overreach.
Now, Elad, there's been a petition now put to the Supreme Court to try to review the bill itself. So, I mean, basically, it sounds as though it's like an existential threat. They're going to now review a bill that determines whether or not they stay around.
So, yeah, this is going to be a very interesting constitutional showdown in the courts when it's asked to review this law. And it would be very interesting, I think, to consider, to see how the courts grapple with the question, whether it focused just on this particular piece of legislation. In this case, I think that the chances for striking it down are not very high, or whether it would see it as the first part of a judicial overhaul that undermines the very democratic foundations of the country. In which case, I think that the court has some tools that he may use to either strike this law down or interpret it in a very narrow way to limit its effect.
So play this out for me. Let's talk about this constitutional crisis, true constitutional crisis. Now, if the Supreme Court rejects the bill and the basic law is also rejected on the other side, then what is the law of the land? Who rules?
So according to the unwritten constitution of Israel,
unwritten,
unwritten, unfortunately, the final arbiter of law is the court. This is his duty in the constitutional order, and I think that the most reasonable outcome of this would be that once the court, if the courts rejects this bill and striking it down, we would see most public officials in Israel adhering to the court's decision. I hope and I believe that the government would do the same, but there are some radical factions within this coalition that I think might push the prime minister to challenge and maybe to confront the court. And in this case, eventually it will be the very sad reality that every public official would have to take a decision on his own.
Elad, it looks like we have until November. The prime minister says he's going to go back till November to try to get everything in lock check before then. So you and I have a feeling we'll be speaking between now and then. Dr. Elad Gil, the head of research for the Tכלית Institute, thanks again for joining us.
Thank you, Albert. Thank you for having me.